They fined me $4,800 for a fence they claimed was 6 inches too tall. But here's the kicker, they'd built their HOA clubhouse on land I owned. I'm Marcus Dean, 41, land surveyor, divorced dad of 2, and apparently, the villain of Willow Ridge Estates. I bought my home 5 years ago on a quiet corner lot in a new development outside Tulsa. Huge perk, the lot came with an easement, a strip of unused land the developer hadn't touched, but that legally remained under my title. First red flag. My neighbor, Gloria, HOA president and full-time menace, warned me at move-in, don't get too comfortable with boundaries. I thought she meant neighborly disputes. Turns out, she meant jurisdictional warfare. 3 years later, I put up a fence, 6-foot cedar, neat, code-compliant, permitted. It ran along the rear of my yard and followed the easement line. 2 days after the final panel went in, I got a bright pink notice duct taped to my garage door. Violation, fence exceeds height limit by 6 inches. Immediate correction required. The letter had the HOA seal stamped in red. No signature. No contact info. Just a fine, $400 per week until resolved. I called Gloria. Straight to voicemail. Then I got the email. Unapproved structure. Encroachment onto HOA community land. Fence must be removed. Wait, their land? That's when I started digging. Gloria had copied the entire HOA board, a reply-all thread that escalated fast. One board member accused me of trying to privatize green space. Another suggested I was hostile to community cohesion. Then came the kicker, Marcus's aggressive fencing is emblematic of deeper entitlement issues. See also, his loud truck, his divorce, and his lawn choices. Lawn choices? Are you kidding me? That weekend, a so-called community walkthrough became a targeted photo op. I spotted 3 residents photographing my backyard from the sidewalk. When I stepped outside, they scattered like raccoons in headlights. Knowledge nugget number 1, HOAs must notify homeowners in writing and provide a reasonable dispute window, usually 30 days, before enforcing fines. Any violation without that window may be legally unenforceable. So, I requested a meeting. They denied it. I filed an appeal. They ignored it. But then I noticed something strange. In the HOA newsletter, there was a map, a little diagram of the new clubhouse built last year. It showed the building's outline. But it overlapped my easement, by almost 20 feet. I dug up my property documents. Survey markers, deed maps, city files. Everything confirmed it. They hadn't just built too close. They built on my land. The clubhouse, the one with the HOA office, the rec room, the leasing office, the private gym, it sat partially on the easement I owned. That changed everything. I booked a meeting with the city assessor. Quiet guy, glasses, smelled like printer toner. He pulled up the parcel history. Guess what? The developer never transferred the easement title to the HOA. It stayed under Lot 19, my lot. When I asked how the city approved the clubhouse permit, he frowned. Looks like the HOA used a bundled permit, under their common area zone. But they never filed a variance for the easement. Translation? They either didn't know, or didn't care, whose land they were building on. Now, it's not just about fence height. It's about property theft. I met with a land use attorney. His first reaction? They're squatting. On your land. And trying to fine you. That's rich. We sent a cease and desist letter. Certified mail. Return receipt. The HOA responded by doubling my fines. $800 per week. Then came the letter to all residents, Mr. Dean's actions are disrupting the harmony of Willow Ridge. Legal costs incurred may impact HOA dues. They framed me as the threat. Knowledge nugget number 2, easements and private land within HOA boundaries still belong to the deed holder unless explicitly transferred. Structures on private land without a recorded easement agreement are considered unlawful encroachments. Screenshot that clause and tag a friend who needs HOA armor. I wasn't alone for long. Turns out, my neighbor Keith, a retired firefighter, had been fined for installing a wheelchair ramp for his wife without architectural review. And Rita, 4 doors down, had been billed $90 for unauthorized Halloween decor. We joined forces. Keith had a cousin at the local NBC affiliate. Within 2 weeks, a news crew came out. Drone shots. Fence line. Clubhouse. The story ran on a Thursday night. HOA builds on private land, fines owner for fence. Gloria was not amused. The very next day, a city zoning officer visited my property, not about the clubhouse, but about unregistered construction activity. I laughed. "You mean my legal, permitted fence?" He nodded, embarrassed. "I'm just doing my job, sir." But yeah, someone made a complaint. Anonymous tip. Petty. And desperate. We countered hard. Keith and I created a neighborhood coalition, WRR, Willow Ridge Residents for Rights. We printed flyers, hosted a Zoom town hall, even launched a petition to audit the HOA. Within weeks, 60% of homeowners had signed. Then came the bombshell. Our attorney unearthed a fund, labeled HOA Improvement Budget. It had paid out over $90,000 the previous year. But it wasn't listed in the community reports. We traced payments to a private contractor, Gloria's nephew. The same one who built the clubhouse. Knowledge nugget number 3, HOAs are legally required to disclose financials annually. Failure to report disbursements can constitute fraud and grounds for state-level audits. We filed a formal complaint with the State Housing Board. And then we sued. Our claim: unlawful encroachment, libel, fraud, and harassment. At the hearing, Gloria showed up in a cream pantsuit, flanked by 2 HOA board members and a very tired attorney. She kept her chin up, until our lawyer rolled in a card of aerial photos, zoning maps, and a notarized survey. Her face pale as printer paper. The judge's ruling: the fence was legal. The clubhouse built illegally across private land. The HOA was ordered to pay damages, cover all legal costs, and, this part was poetic, either purchase the easement from me, or vacate and demolish the clubhouse wing. They paid. In full. Over $137,000. After legal fees, I used the remainder to start a small foundation, the Easement Project. We educate homeowners about HOA overreach and property rights. Keith became our first field rep. Gloria? She resigned. But not before sending a bitter, handwritten note. "Enjoy your kingdom, Marcus. But kingdoms fall." That letter's still pinned to my fridge. And just last week, I got a call from a reporter in Arizona. Apparently, a whole city council tried to seize land reserved for a solar farm, and the HOA was in on it. So yeah. Tune in next week. It gets a whole lot messier.